Hey everybody, welcome into Joe Bowling Sports and Ministry Talks TV, where you get your bowling, your sports, your ministry, your talks, some TV. How's everybody doing on this marvelous afternoon? I am excited to be here, y'all. I got a interview today with a amazing guy by the name of Mike. I can't even say his name. Jachcinski, I want to say. Close, maybe close. But he'll tell us more anyways once we get in here, guys. Um, welcome in, everybody. We're gonna jump right into this interview today. I'm gonna let him tell y'all a little bit about himself to kind of get this thing started off a little bit, and then he'll tell you how to say his name because I definitely probably slaughtered his name already. But we'll go from there and just get this thing started off right. Welcome in, everybody. Welcome in, everybody. Welcome in. So let's bring him on in. He's already ready. He's in the building already. So we might as well get started.
How's it going?
Yeah, how you doing? How you doing, Mike? How you doing? I
I'm
probably
doing
started
pretty
the
good.
name starting off already, so I kind of got off on the wrong. Probably got off on the wrong foot already. But you want to let everybody know what your name is so that um everybody will know.
All right, yeah, you didn't do a bad job by any means. I've heard
Okay.
I've heard much worse. Yours is as close as it gets. Um, Mike Jachcinski.
Oh,
It's the
okay.
extra C that throws everybody off.
Okay. That's cool. That's cool. So, how are you doing today?
I'm doing pretty good. Just finished the first. I coach here at Trine University.
Oh, that's
So our
awesome.
girls team today has one-on-one. They have hour time slots where they come in and work on their games.
Wow.
So we just had the first two girls finish their hour, and we got a break in between before the next set of girls come in for their time slot.
That is cool. That's cool. I did not know that you coach. That is pretty cool that you coach bowling. That is,
Yeah,
I used to
it's
coach high school.
it's a great time. I love doing it. I love helping out, helping kids get better.
That's
Um,
awesome.
and we're a young program, so we're starting to make a name for ourselves and just
That's
trying to get
cool.
out there and get a little better.
That is cool. That's cool. That's cool. So, what made you get into that? You just kind of, what made you get into that?
Um, so backtrack a little while. I actually, my dad, I grew up. My dad bowled, so I've been around bowling my entire life. My family bowled.
Okay.
Um, so used to be the Michigan Majors, and he used to bowl all those. And so I got into it. I bowled in high school, and once I graduated high school, I actually went to college to play baseball.
Okay.
And after I had a surgery and I couldn't pitch anymore, so I switched back over to bowling and just kind of put as much effort into that as I did to baseball because I couldn't end on my own terms. So I was like, yeah, I'm going to make sure I make the most of bowling next. And I wasn't too bad in high school anyway. But it was, the patterns change as you get older and you bowl on
Yeah.
more sport patterns and all that. So when I came home from college, I ended up coaching actually travel baseball. And then
Okay.
the job opening here at Trine opened up, and my wife, she ended up finding it, the posting online. So I came in and I interviewed for it, and I also run the bowling center on campus.
That's awesome.
Um, yeah, here actually I'll take you out real quick. I can show you.
Okay.
Well, anyway, so I came in, and I was like, yeah, this is gonna work when they showed me everything. Let's see, we got blue lanes.
Wow. You know what? The craziest thing about it is I've seen this place like forever, and I always say, Mikey Slayball always comes down and practice down there, and I always
Yes,
say,
sir.
man, I want to bowl there. I've always wanted to bowl there just because of the blue lanes. I'm like, I want to go down and practice down there. That is awesome. That's awesome, though. That
Yeah,
you
and it's
actually
just what was that?
that's awesome that you run that center. That's cool.
Oh, it's the dream job. And so once I got on campus and they explained to me what I was doing, I knew right away. I was like, yeah, gotta get into this.
Yeah.
Um, and my first year was more just the recruiting side of things. We didn't have a lot of kids that wanted to come in and bowl, which is kind of odd.
Yeah.
So the last 2 years, the recruiting classes we got the kids that want to be here, want to bowl, and it's just building the right culture. But I actually really my coaching is wasn't the greatest to start. So like it was good that my first year was more just the recruiting side of things. And then I went to a Bowl U clinic that was ran in Jackson, Michigan. And Rick Benoit and Brad Angelo do that.
Wow.
And that's really when everything started taking off, from the coaching side of things to even my own individual bowling, just based on the things that they taught, some of the training methods that they used. And so that's basically how I got to where I'm at today.
That's cool. That is really cool. That's awesome. So you kind of answered a few of the questions that I had for you today, but what age did you kind of like start bowling with it? Was it always like something that you did, or is just you kind of like, did you have an age where? Because most people usually start at an early age. Like me, I was a late guy. I started when I was 12. So most guys usually start at 5, 6. What about you?
So I started probably as soon as I could walk. And like I said, I was always around it, always on the road in a bowling alley. So as I got older, like it was more of up until the past 5 years, it was more of something that I did to pass the time between the off season of baseball. So like in the winter, it was perfect because in the winter time there wasn't anything to do. And the season just about ended when I was a pitcher. So once our pitching practices started towards February, March, our high school season was ending in Michigan. So it was just kind of that perfect in between to just keep me active. Once I got into college and I bowled the first year, I bowled my junior year of college. So this has been 2015, 2016. And then right after I graduated, I started, and I still did it, and I wanted to compete and be good at it. But probably 2018, I bowled really bad at a tournament and got home, and I was like this close to selling everything. I told myself I was going to be done.
Wow.
And then I just kind of like sat down and said, "You're an idiot. You just need to work harder." And then from that point on, so this is probably, I would say, September of 2018, I told myself I was going to put everything I could into it. And so for the last 5, 6 years, that's all I've done.
Wow.
I bowl as any chance I get. I don't like to take days off. So like I said, I bowled 28 games at the Players Championship this past weekend. And I bowled a little bit Monday, and I bowled again Tuesday. I didn't do as vigorous as a workout, or I guess practice session, as I normally would. But I still wanted to throw a ball and just keep practicing and getting better.
That's awesome. That's awesome. That's awesome. So how many games a week would you usually practice? You would say you would practice?
I would say at least 40 to 50.
Wow.
I every day I come in and I bowl on my lunch break. And then if there's time, depending on when the team practices end, I usually end up bowling after that as well. So I would say at the minimum 40 to 50. But even if there's days, like there's certain days I'll come in and just throw shots down the lane, not worry about score. And if you include those, probably 60.
Okay. So these questions kind of all over the place, as you see. That's
Oh, no problem.
So, with that being said, would you say you're pretty highly competitive?
Oh yeah. I want to win at the highest level I possibly can, and I don't look at it and go, hey, I'm not good enough. Even if physically I'm not, or experience wise I'm not.
Yeah.
Confidence is a huge thing, and if you can believe in yourself, a lot of good will come out of that. No matter what. It's just anything is. One thing about bowling is anything you can beat anybody on any given day. The biggest thing that people lack, and it's not necessarily ability, it's just that self-belief, probably a little bit of the practice routine, and then it's just the mental game's so strong. You have to be so good mentally up there, and it's even when you think you're taking your time, you could even take more time at times.
Wow.
I know I said time quite a bit there, but it's true. Like you get up there and you think that you're at the right pace, and you actually need to slow yourself way down.
Wow.
So it's more just really being in the moment, they say, and that's kind of cliche, but it's true. You got to be aware of everything. If you're at a 3-hour tournament, you got to make that 3 hours seem like 8 hours.
Wow.
So it's basically I said just staying in the moment and
That's cool.
really slowing everything down.
That's cool. So if I know you bowl a lot, but what would you say the easiest pattern you've ever bowled on? Like besides house?
Besides house, I actually here's a fun fact. I don't like bowling on house. I struggle. I uh, I have more honor scores in the last 3 years on sport than I do on house, and it's supposed to be the opposite. Um, but the easiest pattern that I bowled on, and for whatever reason I matched up super well on it. Um, it's a Brian Reagan runs the Midwest Scratch Bowling Series.
Yeah.
It's one of his patterns. It's called the Beefy Burrito, and
Oh,
it's 36 feet, 35.65 mils. And I've bowled on it 4 times, and I've won 3 out of the 4 times that I've bowled on it.
wow, that's pretty. That's cool. So what would you say the toughest pattern you ever bowled on?
The toughest one I bowled on. This weekend got pretty tough. I bowled on Bear, which is 41 feet, and it hooked really early and it hooked a lot down lane. And that was really tough for me. But I think the hardest when I bowled a tournament at Thunderbolt Lanes in Allen Park, Michigan, 3 years ago, and we bowled on the red square, which is 40 feet flat. And I think that was by far the hardest that I've bowled on to date.
Yeah, red square is pretty hard. I've bowled on it before. It's pretty tough.
The cut for that particular tournament, I believe, was minus 68 for 4 games.
Wow, wow, that's yeah.
Yeah, it wasn't very easy at all. My buddy was leading. He shot 120 last game and was still able to lead the tournament.
Wow,
Just because they were that tough and he had bowled that well for the first 3.
wow, that's tough. It's so ironic that you say that you bowl better on sport because I suck on house. I absolutely stink on house, like absolutely terrible. You're like one of the first guys that, besides me, that be like, "Oh man, I'm horrible on house. I am terrible, like absolutely terrible." I'm happy, honestly. I think I'm averaging like a little over 215 this year on house, and I'm very happy. I'm like ecstatic. Like that's really good for me because I'm a full roller, so it makes it really tough for me on house.
Okay.
Really tough. But yeah,
The
so
problem that I run into on house is that like I do a lot of last second adjustments. So if I hit the foul line, I know I'm going to miss left. I'm going to hit it a little harder. If I miss in, I'm going to throw a little faster. And those adjustments on house, you throw it slower and throw it for me left or for you. Are you right-handed?
yeah, I'm right-handed.
Okay, so like, yeah, so if you throw it right, you see the friction so fast that my ball, if I hit it harder and do it on sport, it usually blends it out. But if I get it there too fast on house, it's through the face, and I get over under, and you just get trapped.
Yeah,
And the beauty about the sport patterns is there's usually heavier volumes and stuff. Is those adjustments are more in play, and I just feel like you can throw stuff that's going to be early. I like to see stuff read real early, so I can throw more of like the urethanes and like the big, strong reactive balls, and just control the pocket and make spares. I'd rather it be a shoot. I don't want to like. I'm not afraid of a shootout, but I would rather it be a grind. And 190s, 2-0s are just like the equivalent of a 230, 240 game.
yeah. I'm the same way. I'm not the type of person that's going to win a shootout. I've never have been that type of person. Just being a full roller is really difficult for me. I mean, I'm not the typical full roller. I can get inside and play the lane, over lane, but it's really difficult with my ball roll on a house shot. That's a whole nother story. But would you typically say you like the longer stuff or the shorter stuff?
I really like short patterns. But if you can get a long pattern with like a lower volume, I tend to do really well on that because I can get really forward and stay on the gutter with, like I said, a bigger ball.
Mm-hmm.
Like I do really well on the PBA Dragon pattern. It's like 45 feet, I think 25 mils. So you can usually play the gutter on it. And I bowled with Sydney Brummett in a doubles tournament this summer in Pro Bowl West in Fort Wayne, Indiana. And I went 235, 258, 268, 268, 225 during qualifying. And we were on a same type pad, 45, longer pattern with lower volume. It allowed me to play closer to the gutter. and just like I said, just roll it end over end, let it tumble, and just shape up real nice. So I struggle on the longer patterns if the volume gets higher, just because the left doesn't ever develop. So like for the players, we bowled on shark, and we bowled on a higher friction surface, so I was able to get away with I had a little bit more miss room. But the area that you got to be just so perfect, and you really can't miss on the longer stuff with higher volumes.
Yeah.
But I throw a lot of urethane. So like I said, if you get me on short, I'm gonna be close 90% of the time. I'm still gonna miss here and there, but for the most part, I really can match up well on short.
Yeah, that's cool. That was my next question. I was going to ask you that. How do you feel about urethane? Do you throw it a lot? Is that just something that's your go-to, or what? Because I know a lot of times a lot of guys get a lot of grief about throwing urethane a lot. So,
well, we got a thing out here this way out. Me and Justin Knowles, and there's a few other guys. We like to is the hashtag Thane Bangers.
Yeah,
and so we like to bang on that Thane. But I don't throw it in house. I will not bring it to league. It serves a purpose, and there is a time and a place for it. But I try and throw it as much as I can, just because I have as forward as I am. It does give me the reaction I'm looking for, especially on the left side, where like I said, our back ends don't ever tighten up, so we can throw the slower stuff more often. And there's times where like for example, even this past weekend, I tried throwing reactive at one point, and it was more just I had to move right and throw a bigger core urethane ball and just get around it and get it to shape. And it was like I tried reactive thinking it was going to be the move, and it hooked earlier and did more down lane than my urethane did. I 5-pinned off the one shot, so I immediately put the ball back in the bag. I went back to the urethane. But it's a lot of people don't understand how to use it. So it's just learning your moves left and right are going to be different with it, and stuff that you do to trick it with your hand play a huge part. So if you got really good feel and you can do a lot with your hand, as far as getting around it a little bit more, staying forward and hitting it harder or softer, that'll allow you to see better results with the urethane.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. I've never really had like major success with urethane. That's because I never give it a chance. Really, I just never give it a chance. That's because one thing about it, I hate short stuff. I mean, I hate short pattern stuff. So I never ever really I think I got like one urethane ball, and it like hooked at my feet, and I was like done with it.
that can happen. I got 11 of them. I got 3 purple hammers, 3 black widows. I got a U motion. I got a black hammer. I got a red hammer at home I haven't drilled yet.
Okay.
I actually had the privilege of putting I got a brand new, it was never drilled blue hammer from 1989.
Wow, that's cool.
And I was able to put holes in that. I got one of those, and I got a old turbo urethane, but I'm still looking for more. They all serve a purpose. I've all thrown them. I bring them all, and what I usually find out is if I got like I said, the earlier reading, like the black hammer and like the black widows, and then I got the purples, and a lot of times you'll get into a center, and within practice I can tell, okay, hey, these are I can put away. These 6 urethane balls I can put away, and the purples are either going to be in play or the blacks. And that's the biggest thing, is just realizing how early they're reading and which ones are going to be better, the later reading urethanes or the earlier ones. The black hammers are going to shape more in the first 18, 32 feet. So you're just good. That's why they don't look like they do a whole lot. Same with the pitch blacks. They don't do a lot down lane. It's more in the fronts. So when you're in a center that you need that, then I'm throwing black hammers, or like I said, black widows if I need more motion out of something like that down lane. I found out this summer I've thrown more of, like I said, the black widows, black hammers, and older urethane, just because with Michigan being shut down, I haven't seen the volume that I usually see on a lot of the patterns. I've noticed Ohio and Indiana It hook more than anything I've experienced in Michigan. Yeah, Ohio especially. Indiana's bad; they're not too bad, but Ohio, they need to understand that there is a volume button on that language. You can turn that volume up a little bit and make the patterns hook a little less. But everything I bowled on this summer hooked so much that I was throwing real weak or real early, kind of hook stop urethanes.
Yeah.
And so I was like, because last summer I bowled a lot in Michigan. Obviously, we were opened up, and I predominantly threw a lot of the purples last year. But the volumes that we bowled on, and for whatever reason, the centers in Michigan did not hook like they do down here.
Yeah. they hook around here. I mean, they hook around here like big time. I use a lot of surfers around here, a lot of surfers. I'm trying to blend out what's there. So Dustin, he is a track staffer, so he don't throw the pitch black at all. Yeah. Dustin is a guy, he bowls from, he's around here too. He bowls from around here. He goes to urethane like right away on the house shot. I always tell him no, but he does it anyways. He said he's not lying about how I was shaking my head. That's one of my buddies from Facebook as well. He I think he just bowled a tournament in Ohio just recently, and he didn't like his outcome. So, with that being said, let me see here. What else I have? So, how did you kind of get? Have you always thrown track? Did you always like track, or that was just something you always like track, or?
Yeah. So before EBI, the Ebonite International merged with Brunswick, I was actually throwing all the EBI stuff. I've thrown a few of the other. I threw a few Roto Grip Storm stuff when I was in high school that I had success with, like the Critical Theory and the Theory. But as I got older and I realized like a lot of their stuff is a little quicker down lane than what I wanted. And I wasn't seeing scores with their stuff. I had a Hypercell Fuse. That was the last Roto Grip ball I had that I really liked. But besides that, I was ordering everything through them anyway. So I was drilling all like anything Ebonite, Brunswick, or Ebonite, Track, Columbia 300, and Hammer. I didn't throw a whole lot of the Track brand in the beginning. I had a Triton Elite and a Paradox Black, but besides that, I was throwing a lot of the Hammer Ebonite. When that merger happened, I wasn't sure what I wanted to do right away. I wasn't sure if I wanted to just kind of drill whatever and see what I liked and just kind of run with that, or if I wanted to just keep sticking with it. And then once everything merged, I tried a few of the Brunswick stuff, and because I was leery about it, I had never thrown it, and I just didn't know a whole lot about it. And after I reached out to a guy at Brunswick to kind of talk to him, ordered a few balls and liked what I saw, so I just kept going with it. And within I signed with Track in the beginning of May once everything opened up. So probably middle end of May, so right around probably like May 20th, right around that date. And since then, I've had a lot of success. I've matched up really well with their covers and their cores. Their stuff seems to be really rolly, and like I said, predominantly you can still they got quick stuff, the quick response down lane. But with me not being able to throw a lot of that stuff in my PBA type tournaments and the Brian Reagan tournaments, I can still throw my urethane. So I throw a lot of that, and like I said, the slower stuff. But I just kind of stuck with what I knew, and I was like, I was having success with all the Ebonite stuff. And if they're merging and they already have, they had the research and developing side of things. So I was like, I will give them a chance and see. And if it's not good, give it a few months to a year. And if they're not good, then maybe I'll switch. But like I said, I've loved everything that I've drilled from them so far. Even the balls that I didn't get to throw a lot that I just, that I have drilled over the past couple months, they still fit in. It was just more of like, okay, hey, like either a layout was bad on it, and then I was just messing with the surfaces. But like I've everything that I've drilled to a point up to this point, besides maybe two balls, I've thrown in competition, which is what you want if you're buying, if you're buying the stuff or you're getting the stuff. You want to be able to throw it. You don't want to feel like unsure or be like, hey, maybe this ball worked today. Like I have confidence that I can bring a ball to the tournament, and whether I've thrown it on short, medium, or long, it's going to have a chance if the pattern allows it.
Mm-hmm. That's really cool.
So I basically say within the last 3 years, I've really just kind of stuck to the Ebonite and now Brunswick brands. So the 7 brands of Brunswick, that's kind of what I've stuck with the last 3 years, and that's where I've seen my most success, and it just matches up real well with my ball roll.
Oh, that's cool. So do you have you ever used any of the Radical stuff yet?
I've used a few Radical balls. I used the counterattack solid. I drilled a conspiracy theory that I really liked. I throw that more on house because it's a shinier cover. And on the sport stuff, like I said, the left doesn't develop, so we don't throw a lot of shiny. It's usually, like I said, the dollar urethanes or bigger ASIMs or symmetrical core balls. I throw a lot of like the Verge solids, Stratas, Hero solids. But I drilled those 2 Radical balls that I really liked. I got the results solid, results, and the results plus are all really good.
Yeah.
Andrew Anderson made the results plus look really, really good for the first 4 games, and obviously I think he threw it. I don't know if he threw it after that, but I know the first 4 Sunday on Shark he went 279, 279, 212, 300. So they're coming out. All 7 brands are coming out with stuff that look really good. They just all fit a different. They fit a different purpose, and that's what's good. They give you. There's a lot of balls to choose from now, but there's a lot of variety. So if you're looking for something specific, they definitely cover the entire range of the spectrum.
Well, I'm not a staffer, but I buy bowling balls like I'm a staffer. I mean, but I always, for the last few years, all I've thrown is Radical. Like that's Radical and Radical alone, and it's kind of hard right now. I want to try some different stuff. I want to try some of the track stuff and some of the. I used to throw a lot of Brunswick stuff, but then Radical is just kind of like fits my game a little bit better than the Brunswick stuff. I throw a lot of like the Intel was like my favorite ball. I had like 2 or 3 of those.
That one was very good.
Yeah, that was like. I still throw that here and there. Right now, the conspiracy, I've been throwing that one a lot lately, and I really like the. Oh gosh, I'm drawing a blank. I got like 2 of them in my bag right now. What is that in my bag right now, babe? I'm drawing a blank. I have 2 squash solids in my bag. I really like that a lot. But yes, that's basically what I've been throwing lately. I'm going to order like 5 new ones here in the next few weeks. I'm just trying to figure out what I want to get. But I know I'm going to get an Incognito, going to be one of them for sure.
That one's very good. I've heard a lot of good about it so far.
Yeah. So, so what do you think is more important, matching up to a pattern or your skill level?
I think matching up's a huge one. Skill level matters. So skill level, they kind of go hand in hand. So skill level still plays a part. But what I've noticed a lot of times, even like in certain tournaments, if I feel like my physical game's off, sometimes it's just I'm throwing the wrong ball, so I feel like it's me. But when I match up real well, everything syncs up. My timing, my arm swing, being able to repeat my hand position. So I think that obviously matching up will, positively affect your physical ability. If you've got confidence in the ball, like so if you get on, say it's a 43-foot pattern, you're throwing something. For whatever reason, you got to throw something shiny that day, but you have confidence throwing it, and you can feel like you can miss 5 left or 5 right and still strike. It's gonna relax you a little bit enough to where like your physical game will sync up like you need it to.
Yes.
And that's where I've progress as a bowler, I've noticed that the experience thing is huge. So obviously, the more you bowl, the more experience you get. But for the longest time, it was like the first game I'd struggle, and then it'd be like, oh, it's all me, it's all me. And once I got the right ball in my hand, it was just smooth sailing the rest of the way. And then I look back and go, okay, well, hey, it's just a matter of either looking, seeing what your ball is doing more, watching it going down the lane, and letting it tell you what you need to throw, and just being more observant. And getting that, making that move faster. But a lot of it is matching up, and no matter who you're crossing with, obviously it matters to a point. But there's ways. It doesn't matter if you have a good cross or a bad cross. There's still ways to get around some of that stuff. Now there's certain things that you can't avoid. Like if you're bowling league and someone's throwing urethane, you're stuck on the same pair for 3 games. So it's going to get ugly towards the end. But matching up, I think, just really helps you. You can be physically sound and go to a tournament and then feel physically off just because you didn't play them right.
Yeah.
So matching up's huge, but you can match up with the right ball and be in the wrong area and give the same result. So like I said, I think the biggest thing, they go hand in hand. So physical ability matters to a point, but as you can see on tour and you can see it everywhere else, like you could somersault to the line and just roll and spin the ball off your head if you wanted to. If you could repeat it, you're going to be able to. Then it's just getting the right ball in your hand from there. My biggest thing I noticed was when I started here, I was able to practice all the time, so my physical game got really good.
Wow.
But I'd go to these tournaments and I wouldn't score. And the biggest thing was, like I said, I knew I could physically do it, but I took for granted that ability, and I lacked on my observation skills. And so I'd throw the wrong ball, and I might be able to get it to work on my starting pair and the pair after that. But once they started to transition a little bit, that's when I struggled. So I'd usually start out the gates, 2-0 or 220, and you follow it up with another 220, and that'd be 150, 170, 2-0, and I missed by 10, 15 pins, and be like, well, I know I have the ability. I just did it for the first 2 games. What happened to the middle 2? And it was more just like you said, matching up. And once I learned how to match up faster, that's when I saw my scores go up, and my physical game never really felt off. And even if you throw a shot and say you get a little quick with your feet, you can still make an adjustment and at least get an 8 or 9 out of it if you got the right ball in your hand.
Oh, that's cool. So you kind of know this right now, but right now I'm doing kind of this series on what your favorite bowling ball of all time is and why. So while you're here, what is your favorite bowling ball of all time and why?
My favorite bowling ball of all time. So I have 2. If I'm gonna go with my favorite ball overall, probably the Purple Hammer.
Okay.
I have 3 of them, and that I really I threw that almost all summer last year. Like I said, the higher volumes, I had 300 with it on. I was throwing it on 45, 49 feet. I was throwing them on short. It's one of those balls that it's one of a kind. Every company's got a few of them. You got the if you think about Storm Roto Grip, you got the IQ Tours. If you think about Ebonite, they have the Game Breaker 2s. For me, that is my all-time favorite is the Purple Hammer. I could have a bag of those, 6 bags of those, and I would be perfectly okay. My favorite reactive ball of all time has got to be the Deviate Verge.
Okay.
They just discontinued it, but I was able to get one more new in box.
Wow.
But I got 2 of them right now, and I had the most success this year in regional. My best regional finishes, and my best just regular, like I said, MSBS finishes with when I was able to throw reactive was with the Verge. I said when we led, me and Sydney Brummett led the doubles in Fort Wayne this back in June, and I threw the Verge the whole time. I led qualifying and finished second at the Monroe PBA regional back in November. I threw both of those through qualifying. I have they were drilled the same way. One's at 1,000, one's at 2,000. So when the 1,000 starts to be too much, I could just ball down, and same layout, same reaction.
That's cool.
But I really like the Verge. Like I said, I wish they still made them, but that would be my favorite all-time reactive ball. Favorite ball overall is going to be, as I said, the Purple Hammer.
So, with that being said, I heard you talk a little bit about this, but how do you usually choose layouts? Do you have like a bunch that you just like according to what you're bowling on? Because I know most guys, they just like, well, I got 2 or 3 layouts and I put it on everything. I know a lot of guys do that.
Mm-hmm.
With me,
Yes.
I don't have very many to choose from. So,
so I've tried a few here and there. I do a little bit of like experimenting. If I'm trying something new, or if I bowl a tournament and I feel like, hey, like I was missing like a certain type of reaction, I usually talk about with my pro shop guy, and try to say, hey, this is what I was missing. I'm looking for something that does a little bit more of this. But for the most part, I have a favorite pin down layout that I use, and a favorite pin up layout for symmetricals. And then on my asymmetrical balls, I actually just tried a layout. I drilled the track strata probably a month and a half ago. Tried a layout on that, and that ended up being my like new favorite layout as far as what I was going to do with some like the stronger like solid ASIMs.
okay.
But if my go-to, like if I got I drill a lot of like high RG low diff balls. So like the 248s, like 05, I try to get to like 050, 049 to 050. That range, I really have success with those type of symmetrical balls. So I do like a 3.5 by 65, 65 for the last angle, 3.5 for the pin to pap distance. I put, like I said, I do that for most of my, like if I want that go-to game 1 ball for out of my reactive type balls, I'll do 3.5 by 65. I got a 4 by 40 layout that's pinned up on symmetrical. So if I want more motion down lane, I'll do something like that. I did 5 by 30, 70 by 5 by 30 was my layout for my asymmetrical balls for a while. But what I noticed with them is they were really good on like house and when I wanted stuff to get down lane, but they were reading too late for what I wanted to see. So when I got on like if I got on like a 43-foot, 44-foot pattern that played longer, or even like I said, the 45, 48 range, they were too far down lane. So I backed off on the first angle and the pin distance on those, and that's where I found, what I said with the strata, I did a shorter first angle, shorter pin distance, and then a longer last angle. That seemed to kind of blend out what I was looking for. Like I said, on the left side, we need stuff that reads sooner. So that was my biggest thing, was just seeing where it was reading in the lanes. And I had enough balls that were getting down lane at the time. So that's where I went with that. A lot of my layouts though, like I try to match the layout with the, like I said, core and the cover. So that's where, like, if I've drilled game breakers, I've drilled the Verges, I drilled the Verge Pearl with it, even that 3.5 by 65 layout. I found that I used that back in college. So my 2015, 2016 junior year, I put it on a ball, and I've kind of reused that layout more than the rest that I named off. But a lot of, like I said, a lot of it's just depending on what I want to see, what I feel like I'm missing in my bag. So if I feel like my balls are reading too early, then I'll try something different that gets down lane. I like new equipment, and I like it's a new ball fever. So it's addicting once you get one.
Yes.
But I usually just try to replace the stuff that I use a lot. So I try to fill every hole in my bag and a hole in my arsenal, I should say. And then from there, as the new ball comes out, I just kind of replace and recycle through there. And then there's always, like I said, there's a select few that I really have success with, and then I try and order the same one a couple times and just kind of reuse it. I've noticed too, like you can use the same layout, same ball, and just drill 2 of them, and they're gonna react similar but different. So like Yeah, my newer Verge has the same layout as the other one, and I know the surface on both is different, so that'll play a part. But the newer Verge is actually quicker down lane than the old one ever was. Now the old one's got more games on it too, so that does, like I said, play a factor too. But overall, like even when that was fresh, right? Yep. And so it's like I said, it's just all dependent on what I need for that. I try and have a wide range though, so I don't want a ton of like really short pins and zero long. Even if I'm not going to see the need for it, that I want to be prepared for the one time that I do. I still throw quicker stuff. It just depending on, I don't see it often. I think I've thrown quick balls 2 or 3 times this year out of the 20 plus tournaments I bowled. And it was just the one was a long pattern, and we bowled on the one end of the house was tighter down lane, so I had to throw something a little quicker. Once I got to the other end, I ended up switching back to something a little slower.
Okay.
So I just try and cover the whole range of everything. So then that way I got stuff, like I said, that reads sooner. I got stuff that reads in the mid lanes and then later down lane too.
So with that being said, what would you feel like your most memorable moment in bowling is so far? What is your most memorable moment that you
most memorable? I think it's leading when I led the regional this back in November. It wasn't like a super strong field by any means. There was a lot of good bowlers there, and it was still it's still a regional, it's still a strong event. But it was really when everything finally clicked together. So like the last 2 years, I've been working really, really hard on everything. A lot of drill work, like I said, the bowl U drills, just how to approach seeing the lane. And that was the first tournament that everything really clicked, and to see what I was actually capable of. It just kind of, the hunger that I got inside to win and be successful got stronger after that, because I was like, hey, like I really can do this. And like, there's a little bit of, even when you got that confidence, there's still that doubt, like, all right, well, hey, I haven't really done anything crazy yet. So like, do I actually have that ability? I said I went and I averaged 235 through qualifying on. I said we were on Dragon, but it was where like I made the right moves. I saw it to where, like I said, when the one ball was too strong, I was able to make ball change. I ended up finishing second, and mentally I slipped a little bit through a couple of the match play games, which is ultimately affected me. But the very last game, even like I made a blind ball change on a pair, and I needed 279 to win the regional, and I 7-pin twice for 258. So it was like I was able to at least get close enough where I jumped from fourth to second. But to see where like I gave myself a chance even. So that I think that's the most memorable moment. I got there's a few other ones, but like that one really sticks out to me because like I said it was finally where I realized that I have the ability and like I have the ability not only make the shots but slow the day down, and that was the biggest thing. Like I could do it in practice, no problem. Like there's no pressure there. But I'd get to tournaments, and my biggest thing is when I was a baseball pitcher, if you get amped up and the adrenaline starts going, you can throw it harder. You can throw it past the batter. The biggest thing is your velocity just goes up. Well, in bowling, you can't get amped up. You can't throw it harder all the time. And so I'd get in these situations, and to be able to really, like I said, that day I was able to control my emotions, not as much well as I should have. But overall, for the course of the day, it was much better than it had ever been. So it really just kind of showed me where I was at and what I need to do to get better. So that one sticks out the most because it was like, hey, I'm making it. I'm making it. So
that's cool. So I don't want to hold you forever, but I enjoy bowling.
Oh, I'm in no rush.
Okay. So how do you help your students choose bowling balls? Is there a certain way? How do you go about helping them? Because I know you got to help them choose bowling balls. It's still kind of one of them things. Even with me myself, I would say I don't have the physical game like I really want, but I have the bowling mind. You know, so I can make an
Mhm.
adjustment and tell somebody where to move and all that.
Yeah.
How do you help uh, your students choose a bowling ball?
So I like that question because we just signed with the Brands of Brunswick for our school this year. So a lot of our kids are throwing it for the first time. So there's a lot of uncertainty. So what I usually do when I'm picking a bowling ball for them, I usually ask them what their favorite ball in their bag is first. So I usually want them to have something that they're super comfortable with, and then just try and build around that. Um, if they're ordering a lot of balls, then it's a different story, and then we just kind of shape the arsenal. If they want to start from scratch, they can. But when the girls signed this year, they signed first, so they got all their equipment first. And the one thing that I did with them is I picked a ball that I felt they needed and something that was going to fit their game well. So we have a two-handed girl on the team,
Wow.
and yeah, she throws it very, very well. For you don't see a lot of the biggest thing that the two-handed girls struggle with is clearing the hips.
Yeah.
And that's the one question that everybody's had, and it's not a knock on them. It's just one thing that like Belmo does it really well. The guys are able to, we're just stronger.
Yeah.
But she's able to clear her hips real well, and a lot of her stuff was just super strong, super strong. But with the college now being on sport, we're still going to see a lot of volume in the front parts.
Yeah.
So with her, I got her an igniter solid, for example,
Okay.
because it was going to be a lower end solid, but it was still going to be enough to where you could hit it with like 1,000, 2,000, and still get it to grip in the front part of the lane. But it wasn't going to be, that's looked like someone kicks it left down lane reaction. So she's thrown it a few times since they've been back. They got back this week. So the couple practices we had, she throws it, and it allows her to stay a little bit farther right with everybody else. Now her rev rate's higher, so she's still got more miss room, but she can stay a little bit closer right with the team. She's still going to be a little bit farther left because of rev rate, but it's not going to cause her to get, to 40 with her feet game one and then get trapped once they start hooking.
Yeah.
We had another girl with a little lower ball speed gets it into the lane sooner, and we just got her with a Verge Pearl because it was going to be a little bit earlier, quicker response Pearl ball, and she already had the stronger ball, but she ordered 3 more, and we just kind of built around that to replace her solid and in between. Now the couple of the guys have been coming in, they same thing. They ask like, hey, like, what do you think I need? I'm looking for this. I usually ask those, like, if they're trying something just to fill a hole in their arsenal, I ask them, what do you need? If they're, what do you feel like you miss most in tournaments? Like, what do you struggle at what time, and what's the struggle? Because sometimes maybe they don't have a strong enough ball, or maybe they don't have anything that's going to get cleaner through the fronts for them. So I usually, like I said, try and fit their physical game. If they really, really forward roll, like, I'm not going to put them in something really, really strong, really, really short pins. It's just going to burn up too early, especially what they see in college. So the big, I guess to answer the short answer to the question is just whatever's going to fit their physical game and fit into their arsenal. I don't want to get them a ball that's going to overlap something they have and say, like, they got 2 balls that read in the middle part of the lane, and they do relatively the same thing. One might be a little slower or a little quicker. But if it's relatively close, you can do more with your hand and grip pressure to get what you want out of both balls in one. So I'd rather you have either the step up or the step down for when you need it.
That's cool. That's cool. That sounds like you're a really good coach there.
I try my best to be. I'm not the best, and I'm still learning. But I said I just know what I had to do to get to where I'm at, and like I said, I still got a long way to go. I'm not where I need to be yet, where I want to be. But a lot of it's just put it in the time, reading as much as you can, trying different things. But like I said, a lot of the thing is people when you just go out and buy a bowling ball, and you don't realize, like, just because you're buying all these balls, you can do more with just one ball, and a lot of just drill work and practicing. Like I said, I did a lot of the Bowl U stuff. So there's a Bowl U orb. It's a training tool. You can throw it outside in the grass. You can throw it on concrete. But we do a lot of that here because I'm like, if you can sync up your balance and motion, so like your arm swing and the ball weight with your timing, you can score with the equipment, whether it's brand new or 10 years old. Obviously, the newer stuff's going to hook a little bit more.
Yeah.
But if you can get a sound physical game and repeat physically, then it's just, then now we just got to get you fill in every hole that you don't have. So if you have a phase 2 and it's 3 years old, but you really like it, like, yeah, we can either get you a new one if you want something that's going to be fresher. But there's no reason why you can't stick with that ball and just kind of fill in around that.
Wow.
So it's just more like I said, I want them to, and especially if they're like a lot of our kids threw Storm before this year. So I didn't want them to get a ball that they want, like say that they picked their ball and say it did something that they didn't need or it just didn't fit them. I didn't want them to the first thing you're going to blame is the new thing. So they would have blamed the equipment. And I told them, like, I'm going to get you something that you need that's going to fit your game so that you can see that each company has the same type of stuff. It's just the logo is different. Obviously they do roll a little differently. Storm and Rotogrip just don't roll well for me. I said, I've had so much success with the 7 brands. I just want to keep sticking with them.
Yeah.
But at the same time, for people who are here for school and they can get the discounted equipment and try different things, just show them that, hey, if you got the physical ability to get to the line, it's just matching up, like you said, ball wise, matching up on the lane. And
I would have me a bowling frenzy if I got discounts like that. I would go crazy.
There's a few kids that have definitely done that so far. They go, oh, that's how much they are? I was like, yeah. He said, you want to order a few? They're like, oh, well, yeah. One kid just ordered 4.
Yeah.
So
I usually order like 4 at a time. Anyways, I mean, I just do. I love my bowling stuff. So, but yeah. So how many 300s and 800s do you have? Do you know?
I got, I think 4 or 5 800s. Okay. I have a few in practice. I don't count practice. And then I believe it's 8 300s in competition. The last one I had was in match play at a Brian Reagan tournament last summer. And then, like I said, I haven't had one yet this year. I've been close. I said practice I have, but there's no pressure in practice. And I practice here every day. I should be able to shoot them here once in a while. I know how the lanes play, and the lane man's pretty friendly to the left too. So
okay, that's cool. So what's the difference in bowling like bowling a Brian Reagan tournament compared to bowling a regional?
Just the caliber, the guys that bowl the regionals, and they don't miss. Like you're not gonna run away with it. They're coming for you. And that's what I noticed. Like I said, I finished second at the regional, led qualifying, but like anything can happen once you get to the match play portion there. So like if you're off at all, like they're gonna catch you. And some of the Reagan tournaments I've noticed too, like if I stick, let's say I throw a black hammer to start, I might be able to throw that black hammer for all 8 to 10 games that I bowl, if you include the qualifying and match play portion.
Yeah.
On the regional side, I don't throw as much urethane as I do on the Reagan stuff. Just the way they don't hook as much. Obviously, they're different patterns too. But the moves are a little different. The breakdown, the transition's different. I really noticed that this weekend when I bowled the Players Championship. Like I said, it was something I'd never experienced before because they use Brunswick oil, and so it hooks more down lane, which I was able to throw a lot of the urethane, which I was okay with. Yeah. But pair to pair, like I noticed, like they said, if I bowl a Reagan tournament, I might stick with 1 or 2 balls the whole time. And when I was out there was times where I threw 1 ball to start, get to the next pair, throw another ball, and then you go to the next pair, and it's something completely different. Wow. And it's the biggest thing out there is just, like I said, the moves and how to play the lanes is completely night and day different. So the biggest thing is just getting out there and learning that. and I said the front's hooked and it hooked down lane. So you had to get your ball to get through the fronts, but you still had to get it to shape down lane but slow down. So there was a lot where you either had to kind of go over. For me, I had to go over the fronts, kind of loft it a little bit, or trick it with the ball roll. And like my eyes get steeper angles to let it kind of read and hook in early and just kind of roll. But yeah, like the biggest difference I said is just how once you get through qualifying might play similar to both, like at least on the regional side of things, to the Reagan stuff. But like once you get in the match play portion, or like they do like some of the regionals, you do 5 games and they'll cut the field and there's 5 more. There's just those guys, they don't, if you 9 spare 3 times in one game, like 2 out of those 3, the good guys are going to find a way to kick that corner.
Wow, that's crazy.
And like that's what, like when I was out in Wisconsin this last weekend, we had Wes Malott and Chris Prather was the left of me one time, and just watched them. Like they knew what they had to do, and when they got on the certain pair, like they either figured it out in 1 or 2 moves, where it takes me 3 or 4. So they're already ahead of me as far as understanding where they need to move to, what ball they need to throw. But then they just got the ball in the same area. It was just repeating shots. They could miss left and right. They weren't, they're accurate. I'm not saying they're not, but they got the right ball in their hand to give them that area. And when they know how to get that right ball in their hand, and that's the difference. Not that there's still a ton of great bowlers. You still get Andrew Anderson and all those guys that come out, and Kurt Peline, Craig Nidifer, and like Mikey Schleybaugh, and I'm sure Aaron Beaver. So those guys out in the Indiana guys, each state's got them that they bowl the MSBS stuff, and they're just as good. But there's times where you can get away with a little bit more, and if you're there's certain situations where it might just be a grind, and you might just kind of stick with it and let it come to you in a Reagan tournament or another tournament similar style. Where when you're out there, if you're grinding, there's times where they're going to be 15, 20 pins ahead of you, and you need to find a way to get those 15 to 20 pins, where in a Reagan tournament, you can just kind of grind your way to make the cut and then work your way from there. But you just got to you can't sit back and wait. Like if the scoring pace is 215, like you can't be shooting 190s and waiting to shoot some big games.
Yeah. You got to hurry up and catch up right away.
Yeah, and it's not, once you learn, and then it's just like different layouts. Like when I first started bowling the regionals, I realized like my equipment wasn't the greatest, so I had a lot of holes. So it was more so getting, like I said, figuring out what you needed out of the ball, and then from there talking with my pro shop guys to get that reaction out of what I was ordering.
That's cool. I like that. So how do you feel about two-handers?
I got no problem with them. My thing, I know a lot of people don't like it, and there is an advantage to it, and I think there's also a disadvantage. I
agree.
I think Belmo's the best in the world. We don't know how long they're going to be able to hold up body-wise, like health-wise, because it is strenuous on the back, the hips. So like Belmo's going to be the first example of how long can he last. And I know he's had some health issues. He's still great, and I don't take anything away from him, but he's had some issues already health-wise. But it's definitely an advantage. But if you slow them all down, and this is the biggest thing, if you slow you put them in slow-mo and you look at the front angle, when they go to release the ball, they only have one hand on it.
They do.
And it's the whether you have the 660 rev rate or the 325 rev rate, the only thing that changes is where you're playing the lanes and what type of balls you're using. So you still need to get the ball through the pins the same way. You need that happy medium on deflection. So if you're two-handed and your ball's going sideways for you, you're not going to outscore the guy that's playing right up the boards going 325. Nope. Norm Duke and Jason Belmonte, we did a thing with the Bowl U Camp. They set up a visual with a bunch of house balls, and they showed where like Norm Duke would typically play and like where Belmo would play. And if he's in front of the ball return, his ball's still hooking as much as Norm Duke's is, even if Norm Duke's playing up 5 or wherever he's at, up 5 or 10. But he's just using something that he probably reads earlier than what Belmo's using. If Belmo's in front of the ball return, he's probably throwing something that's going to get through the front, get down lane and be a little quicker, where Norm Duke, if he's playing farther right, might just use something earlier and slower, or just something slower, reactive, response-wise at the end of the pattern overall. So I don't, the power, there's a lot, like I said, the power and the revs are good, but if you can't harness that and you can't control that, I'm gonna let you pay for it if you come against it. But there's a good two-hander from Indiana Tech. His name's Corey Hersha. Yeah, great guy. I bowled against him. He's beat me and I've beat him. And the one time we bowled on that 36-foot beefy burrito pattern, I beat him there. And the next time I saw him on a longer pattern. I saw him throw one shot in practice, and I said, I'm going to be in trouble. And because he missed like 3 or 4 right, and it came back and struck. And I watched my ball kind of do the little fishtail wiggle down lane and get 7. So like when they're tighter and you can throw it a little bit farther left or a little bit farther right, and have that rev rate to recover, it's an advantage. But if you can't control it and ball on everything, like there's times where it'll hurt you. So like I said, it's the objective doesn't change. They still got to make the shots just as much as I do. And yeah, they might send more messengers than I do. But if I'm using the right ball and I'm playing the right entry angle and doing the right everything, I have just as good a chance as they do. And you see it on tour. You see it more so with look at the righties. There's still a bunch of one-handers that can outscore Belmo. He's still the best in the world at what he does, but it's because he's got that ability. He's worked hard enough. I'm not going to tell someone that they're only good because they're two-handed or like that. That's cheating and that's an advantage. Especially if there's no rules against it.
No.
Like I said, the biggest thing is upon release, there's only one hand on it. The benefits are you're never going to hang up in it because you don't got your thumb in it. They said the unload phase that creates all the rev rate, like your ball never gets higher than your armpit, so you can never decrease your acceleration through that unload phase. So they're always going to unload on it. They're always going to hook. So from that standpoint, there's benefits. There's more tricks you can do with a thumb in it. So like you see a couple two-handers out there that do have a thumb in it. AJ Rice is one of them, and when you got to be dead forward and have high rev rate, he's gonna run everybody over. And he's good enough to get right and open them up too, and curve them. But like I said, I think it's just an excuse. It sucks if they're beating you and you need a higher rev rate that day. But it all works itself out in the end. That's the best thing about bowling is, you still got to make the shots. Everybody's still got to make the shots. Just because you ran one thing over one day doesn't mean that you'll do it the next day or a week later. There's going to be hot streaks and there are going to be cold streaks. The biggest thing is just being prepared for both, enjoying the good. And when you're struggling or you're just, you haven't broke through and got that win that year, just, be like, hey, it's coming, relax, be patient with it. And you got to be the best version of yourself. You can't try and I don't want to throw it like Norm Duke. He throws it great. And I want to mimic what he does. But I got to be the best version of myself. If I start looking at what so-and-so does on lanes 13 and 14, and I try to be too close to them, like it's going to take away from what I can actually do. I said I wanted to be I want to be really high rev and just go coast to coast with it for the longest time. And what I learned is that I'm really good at being really forward. So if I can get as close to the gutter as possible and stay forward with it, that's what I want to do. And if you get me, like I said, if you can give me the gutter and I can be super forward, I know I got a chance against anybody. And that's just the biggest thing. You got to be be that confident with what you can do. You got to be really, really good at one thing or be unique. And like I said, you look at Jacob Buttriff. He's he's good, but he's also very unique at what he does.
He is very unique.
But if you can be really good at your A game and then just be, you got to still get your B, C, and D game for when your A game's not there. But just be the best version of yourself.
So would you say that you have your own unique style, or did you kind of look at some other lefties and kind of adopt their style, or would you say you just your own individual person?
It's so my arm is starting to go kind of across my body like Ryan Simonelli in the last since March it started. It was part of the drill and what I'm trying to do. But I didn't try and mimic that by any means. I think I'm more of just my own self. I'm Mike Jachcinski. But I do watch what the other lefties do, and I try and talk to them about how they approach certain situations. So like I've asked Justin Knowles questions before when I was coming up and he was winning stuff and making cut. I'd ask him, hey, like what did you do and how did you play him? And obviously he's two-handed and doesn't use the thumb, so there's certain things that he's going to do differently than me, but he can get me a general idea, and like I know what he does and what that equivalent would be for me. So there's things that I've looked at and tried to be close to, like growing up Parker Bone the third. Like, he's got his physical game's great. How he gets to the line, footwork, everything. But I've really just become myself within the last few years. When I first came in, I had a hitch in my swing, so my swing kind of bumped out a little bit. But once I slid and hit the line, it tucked in where it needed to be. So it wasn't something that I was going to fix until it started affecting me, and it never really did. It's kind of worked itself out now. But a lot of the stuff that I'm doing physically now is just based on things that I worked with through the Bowl U camp last 2 Mays ago with Rick Benoit and Brad Angelo. So a lot of that just kind of incorporated into my game, and it just made me me. There's still things that I did before that just got better once I did all the stuff that they had me do. But yeah, I just try to be myself. I like to watch people strike, but I don't get in awe of it, and I don't get, taken back from it. I just go, I can do that in my own way. I just got to find a way to do it with what I got.
Yeah.
Whether they're in front of the ball return, I'm never going to be in front of the ball return. That's just who I am. But there's ways that I can, I see what they're doing. I can do the opposite of. Usually the righties are in front of the ball return, so whatever they're doing, I'm usually doing the opposite.
Okay.
But yeah, it's just being me. For like I said, when I got out of college, I wanted to try and play right. I was like, yeah, I'm gonna be the lefty that plays right and tries to hook the lane, and not like out to 5 by any means, but they're like 15 to 10, 20 to 10. What I realized is there's so many righties and they burn up the fronts so much that you don't want to be in that area. I get the ball into the lane pretty clean, so then that's where I said, hey, I got to be myself. I got to find a way to stay away from that as long as possible. And that's kind of what made me. And then once I learned how to get more forward and stop getting around, like I had a lot of axis rotation for the longest time. So once I learned to get more forward, then that's when I really, like I said, from the beginning, this past May, it's kind of when I really became, like everything came together and I became my own person as a bowler.
That's cool. So how many balls do you usually take to league versus the tournament?
So in league, I've narrowed it down to 6 with a spare ball. I didn't bowl league this year. Because of the practice, the time that I have available for me here running the center. I was like, I'm going to get all the time here. I can save that $15 a week. There's not a lot of like big leagues around here. So I was like, I'll save the money. I'll sub. So I've been subbing all year. So I usually, like I said, take 6 balls, including a spare ball. So 5 strike balls. I usually try and give it a variety. like a big symmetrical. I use a lot of, I found more success with shinier covers on house this year, just because of the lack of oil.
Yeah.
But when I go to tournaments, I take at least 6 3-ball rollers.
Okay.
So 18 to 20 balls. Again, a lot of it's urethane. So a lot of them, either there's 5 or 6 that probably won't be in play after practice. But if they are in play, I want to have them there. And that's the biggest thing with, if urethane's in play and you don't have it, you're in trouble. If you have it, you're going to at least be able to, even if it's the wrong type of urethane, like you're going to be able to grind out, and probably at least make the cut. So out of those 20 that I take, there's probably, 7 or 8 reactive balls. And it's basically based on what I generally throw. And those are just for tournaments. Like, so when I went to Wisconsin this last weekend, it was a center I hadn't been in before. Obviously different environment, different scoring pace and all that. So I brought 7 3-ball rollers with me there. So 21 balls. There's a few balls that never ended up coming out of my bag. But I had everything covered in just in case. But like I said, with league, you know where the friction is going to be. You generally know how they're going to play. So I just don't worry about breaking my back and bringing the whole house with me to the league night. But
the house I bowl in is pretty tough to score in. I mean, I think I'm averaging like maybe 2 teams on Monday night, and I'm high in the house. I bowl at Chippewa. It's not easy to score.
Yeah, it's not easy there at all.
It's not easy there. Pretty much around here, Beaver, he's one of the high guys on Friday nights. I don't know if you know Richie Benninghoff. You know Richie Benninghoff?
Yeah. Yeah,
he's a 2-hander. He's high. I think he might be the highest guy in the house at 220 something or something.
Oh, wow.
So it's not a very high scoring house at all. What makes it difficult is the fact that it's different every night. And I'm not talking about, I know, the different parts of the house going to be different according to the how hot it is in there, or, it's all type of factors that play into it.
Oh, yeah.
It's different every night. It's never a night where it's even close. So that's what play a major factor in this place. Like, yeah, like just for instance, I bowled Monday night, and the right lane, I was throwing the ball like right up 7. I mean, I had to keep my hand behind it, and if I missed right, the ball didn't come back. Well, on the left lane, I was going from like 20 to 5. Like literally, like I'm swinging the whole lane, and if I missed right, the ball would go Brooklyn. That's how much friction it was. I'm like literally, the place is like really tough.
Makes for a long night too.
Yeah. The place is like really tough, but it is what it is. So let me see, what other questions do I have for you? How many regionals do you bowl a year?
So the last couple of years, I keep adding a couple more. This upcoming year, I'm going to try and bowl. I try and get to as many as possible. The ones late, normally from any time from like September, the end of September till April, the college season normally goes on, so I can't bowl certain events if they fall on our travel weekends. This year, with the way COVID went, our season's not starting until February now, so I was able to bowl everything up until February 6th, and then we'll be traveling. I think it's 8 straight weekends here for trying. This last year, I bowled 4, I believe. I bowled in Bluffton, Findlay, Ohio, Monroe, Michigan, and Angola. So yeah, I bowled 4 this year. Obviously, with the COVID shortened the season, So there weren't a whole lot. So I would have got to more than 4 this year if there had been a full regular tour. So I did 4 this year. I think I did 3 last year or so with the full season. With the more success that I've been finding, like this year I had more success, so I would have been able to bowl more because usually they paid for themselves and then it was just turn around and do it again kind of thing. So hopefully with this new year, hopefully they have a full season and I'll be able to bowl just about every one that I can get to. Same thing with like the Reagan stuff, and just about anything. If there's anything that I can bowl, I just try and bowl anything I can get to. I've been to Cincinnati. There's Todd McGill runs the TMT bowling tournaments out of Coleraine Bowl in Cincinnati. So I went out there twice this year. I did the Coleraine Open and the Radical Fall Classic.
Okay.
I like I'm trying to get to more bigger tournaments in general. So like I want to bowl more of the regionals, the more of those, like I said, the Coleraine Opens, because the bigger tournaments are where you're going to get the bigger competition. And that's where I need the most experience now, is how to score with the guys that are making the moves like that. And they're ahead of everything.
So I know you're going to Detroit then and bowl at MSBS in Detroit then.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. One of my buddies is trying to get me to go, but I just honestly, I would have to kind of buy a few new bowling balls. I really don't have a lot right now. I don't like taking I got older. I got a bunch of stuff like that. But of course, it's time to revamp a little bit right now.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so that's where I'm at right now with that. I'm kind of like, I don't know if I want to throw the money into buying like a bunch of new stuff right now, but I really think I want to go. I'm debating on it a little bit, but anyways, that's a whole nother story. So I saw you recently bowl the Players Championship. How was that experience like overall for you? Like that's like.
I had a blast bowling it. It was, like I said, I didn't feel overwhelmed out there. I felt like physically I threw it just as good as, the whole field, just as good as anybody out there. The biggest thing I realized was just how different they play. Like, the transition, the moves, the amount of ball, there's certainly, like I said, this pair to pair was so different. The oil transition differently. So it was a real eye-opening, very big learning experience.
Yeah.
And it was comforting to know, like I said, that, hey, I'm not far off by any means, but I know it gave me everything that I knew I need to get better at. So I try and just, even in the Reagan stuff now, I try and be like, I only bowled one tournament since then. I bowled Tuesday night, but even for that, like if I felt like I had to be too perfect with the ball, like the first game I had 223, but I start first 3, spare, split, spare, strike, and I switch balls right away. So the one thing I learned out there is it actually helped me, where I realized out there I wasn't making the moves fast enough. So now I'm more aware of it. Okay. So I was able to make the move and go 230 off that. And the ball that I wouldn't have made the cut Tuesday night if I was throwing the ball I started with. And it was probably one of those things I probably would have stuck with before and just kind of hammered it out until it got really bad and then finally made the change.
Yeah.
But it gave me an idea of what I need to do better, even just getting to the right ball, what to look for in the practice shots, what to try. The process of what ball I'm using too. Like I realized out there that there's certain balls that I wasn't using at certain times because I just kind of had this preconceived notion of what that ball would kind of want to do.
Yeah.
And like I said, like when the front's hooked out there, they still hook down lane. So you still I try to throw like a black hammer to burn up early and just kind of roll. Well, it wasn't quick enough down lane. So I felt like I had 2 boards. So that's where I went. Like I said, I went to a Black Widow urethane that I thought would have been too strong, but it actually burnt up early enough to where it blended it out and it still shaped down lane because it was it was an ASIMS urethane, so it wanted to hook down lane. So it just kind of like gave me it was a good and bad. I said I could have done better. I was 10th after the first day. I was top 10. I went 154 over on Viper. And then I struggled on Bear, but my high game was 203 and my low game was 185.
Okay.
And like I said, going back to what I talked about earlier, those guys were just those 185 games for me. Could have been 2-0, 2-10, but the guys that had the experience out there were able to kick, 2 more corners that game or just make 2 extra good shots and strike. And that was just the difference. It was just being a little bit more ahead of it. It was nice to see how they played because, everyone goes, the left doesn't have a real good chance out there. And there's a little bit of truth to that. There's not a lot of us out there. But when we have it, we have it.
Yeah.
But it allowed me to see like, hey, I hook it enough. I have the game to do it where I had ball motion out there. And that's the one thing with the Brunswick oil, it hooks more for me. Just in general for anybody. But what I noticed is like, it allowed me to still see hook on every pattern. Like I said, I bowled on shark and yeah, was it tough? I went plus on shark and I thought shark was going to be my hardest. It was also the last block. So where I kind of had learned enough through the day before and the first block on Sunday that I was like, okay, hey, and like, let's try some things. So certain balls that I probably would have just stuck with, I changed faster. And I said, it just kind of gave me a better idea. As much as I would have rather, obviously cashed and bowled well, I went 55 over for the entire weekend. The one block I had 2 bad games to where I said I didn't make the move. I thought, hey, I didn't think of that I could do it. And once I did it, I had 2 140 games back to back. And I also, like I said, allowed my mind to wander and I got a little too fast. So I missed a couple spares those 2 games. But then I make the right move and I shoot 225. So it's like when I did make the right move, I knew I could do it. So it's like I just need to find a way to do that 7 shots sooner. So sometimes it was less than that. There's a couple times it was like 3 shots. Like I made on shark, I threw 1 ball, I threw a hero solid, and I shoot 230. I go to the next pair and I flat 7-pin and my move. Normally I go, okay, I'll just move left off that. So I make a 2-board move, flat 7 again, and then I go 2 more, and I Greek church. So I was like, all right, well now I'm trapped. Well, it was more just off that first one. I should have gone, okay, they were tighter down lane, and I went to a Black Widow 2.0.
Okay.
And once I made that move, I went 250. So it was just, and that game I ended up going, I think it was 211 or whatever, because I had the split in there. But it was still like that 211 was good on that. Then I followed it up with the 250. It was just, I said, I hadn't been in those situations before. And even I had 279 on the live stream and on Viper. So that game, I was able to really control my mental game, my emotions, and really stay slow. And like just in sync with my timing. But there were still times where I noticed what causes me to make bad shots when I get quick. So there were still times where I got excited and, it's a big environment. So you're going to get amped up. But I was able to figure out what I needed to work on to slow myself down in those situations. And it's my 3rd step. I have 5 steps. My 3rd step was actually just getting too fast. Like I was trying to hit the ground before the foot even got up in the air. So once I focused in on that, like my scoring went up, my shot making went up. But that was the biggest thing. And the one thing that it was reassuring too is when I started bowling regionals, I felt like I was in this fog and I couldn't loosen up. And so I've been working on getting up. I just get up like an hour earlier than I need to now, to just really let myself get excited and get all the excitement out of the way. And then that fog goes away. So I tried that same type of theory, I guess, the same type of like method. I was like I woke up earlier than I needed to and just gave myself extra time and got to the bowling alley and just kind of slowed everything down. And that helped out a lot. So there was a lot of things that it showed me that, hey, you're doing the right stuff. And here's the stuff that you need to still get better at. and it's like, it was just so, win or lose, I want to compete. That's my biggest thing. Like, if I could do it full time, I would do it full time. It's just, I just get a lot of enjoyment out of it. And like I said, I was bowling against the best bowlers in the Central region. So not even if I would have finished last, I just want to know by the end, when I'm all done and I'm too old to compete, I want to go, hey, like, I don't want to have any regrets. Like, oh, I wish I would have bowled this. I wish I would have bowled that.
Yeah.
So getting out there, and like I said, it just gave me that extra fire that I already had, that fire lit, where I want to be the best. I'm determined to be the best. But it took me to that next level. We're like, all right, now we're gonna up our practices, and this is what I need to really, really watch for.
That's cool. Mike Atrella's in here. He said, my best lefty one-handed doubles partner. Glad to see you, Mike.
Michael Cottrell is awesome.
Yeah,
he's a good guy.
Yeah, he is. Great guy. Really great guy. So let me think about it. Let me see what I want to ask you here. So are you looking to have you ever thought about winning out on the big tour?
Yeah, that's the goal. I set a goal 2 years ago. I said in 4 years I will get out there.
Okay.
I think I'm 2 or 3 years away. If I can bowl enough and get enough experience with the practice time I have available with me, I think that obviously helps. The job helps me get to that. I really think that I have the ability within the next 2 years to at least win a regional title.
Okay.
My goal is to win one this year. But yeah, the one thing that I noticed, as I said, is my mental game and wasn't the best even on Viper. But if I was top 10 out of the Central region on Viper, and like we said, all the guys that were there, we had a lot of even the national players. If I can do that on my first time out there, I was like, I know I can at least win on the short patterns when I get out there, or at least have a fighting chance to make a check. But the ultimate goal is, yes, to win out there. I think if I can get to the point where I can win out there, I think eventually I'll end up scaling back the bowling for once in a while. I got some goals I want to get to, and then there's time where I want to just settle down and my wife's very supportive, so she deserves a lot of my time for as much time as she's let me put into bowling. So eventually I want to scale tournament bowling back once I reach my goals. And so there's, like I said, I want to win out there before I'm all done.
That's awesome. My wife is very supportive, like to me, like that as well. She supports me in everything I want to do. I really want to. I'm in a process of losing a bunch of weight right now, so I can start back bowling a bunch of tournaments again. But so around you, would you say your top 5 bowlers around you, as far as local guys?
Growing up, or the area I'm in now?
In the area you're in now. I know it's a tough question because it's a bunch of great, a lot of good bowlers around, because you can narrow it down. For me, it was kind of narrowing it down to whether we're talking about bowling on house or we're talking about bowling on sport.
Mm-hmm.
Because there's guys that absolutely just destroy a house pattern, and then you get them out there on sport and they're $180.
Yeah. So. Well, if we're going off just like overall, so like I live in Coldwater, Michigan, work in Angola. So I guess I'll do like the tri-state area. There's some guys out in Kalamazoo that can bowl. Top 5. Well, you got in no particular order. You gotta put Mikey Schleybaugh in there. He's close enough to count.
Yeah.
He's got his physical game is unbelievable. It's just I think a lot with him too is just lane play. Once he gets the experience, he's going to get it. If you get him in front of the ball return with any look, he's going to beat anybody.
He's going to destroy you. Yeah,
he's going to beat anybody. Yeah. He's just got to learn that in between still. And I said he'll learn it. He's the same thing. He's got that drive where he'll figure it out. You got him, Sydney Brummett. I know she just took a coaching job, so she'll be moving. But as of right now, she's in Fort Wayne area. Trying to think if we got some Michigan guys out this way that bowl. You go down like Fort Wayne. You got in Jackson. If you go to Jackson, there's some bowlers out there. You got Corey Hines.
Corey.
Very, very good.
Yeah.
Andy Schneebelt. He doesn't bowl a lot right now, but he bowled on tour for a while. He drills out of Jachcinski, Michigan.
Okay.
And he's still he don't bowl a lot, like I said, but when he does bowl, he's very, very fun to watch. He's very, very good. He needs to bowl more.
Okay.
Trying to think. So that's that three I named.
Yeah.
Mikey, Corey, Andy. Oh God. We got Sydney. There's four. I think Wes Malot's down in Fort Wayne now.
Really?
So I believe he's in Fort Wayne, because I know his son just toured campus. So so I would have to include him in there. Fort Wayne's pretty close to where we're at too.
Yeah.
I think I would name those five. It's just so hard because they said, the Sydney scores on anything. She throws so good. Same thing with Wes Malot's going to score on anything. But I think it's very, it's so hard to name five.
It's hard.
Because there's just so many different times where and in this area we're fortunate enough, like the tri-state, Indiana, Michigan, Ohio, even Illinois area, and then you look into like even Metro Detroit's fairly close. You got so many. This area's put out so many, even just national, local, regional, and national talent within the last even 10, 15 years. You look at like who's made the TV shows from Detroit, Indiana. You got Zach Weidman down in Indianapolis, he's going to be bowling this weekend in Florida for the regional stepladder. He was finished 5th this weekend.
That's
so
awesome.
They got an Indiana guy making a show. Ronnie Russell's on there. And
wow. It's definitely a lot of talent around here. A lot of talent.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's pretty much all the questions I have for you today. But I want to kind of ask you. Can we see that bowling alley?
You can see that bowling alley. Yeah, 1 second. Let me we got some kids in here, so let me put my mask on before I go out there.
Because I always wanted to bowl in that place. I'm like, dude, I always wanted to bowl in that place.
Well, if you're ever in the area, let me know.
I will.
And so here we go. We'll I wonder if I can we'll just flip it around this way. Hello. So we'll walk around the glass real quick. Before you leave, I gotta talk to you. I talked to someone this weekend. So here's our bowling alley.
Okay.
Oh, there we go.
That's cool.
And it's six lanes. We got a kegel lane machine, so we can put out all the sport patterns we want. You're good. We got all the team is the only team that can practice in here right now. So that's the best part is our kids aren't fighting for the time. They don't have to pay. They're getting fresh oil. So they're not fighting off league bowlers. And if they came in and they wanted to if they're struggling on short, we can put out short patterns. We got spare patterns in there. So I said the kids that come in, we tell them all, if you come here and you want to get better, like we have everything here to get better. It's just how much time are you going to spend and what are you willing to do? Obviously, academics are always going to come first.
Yeah.
But they have all the practice time available. There's times this has been open till we had a team sweeper. We were here till 3 a.m. So it's just, if they want to bowl, if you want to bowl, there's a lot of bowling to be had here. And like I said, we want to build that winning culture and just get the right people in now. And that's what we're working towards. And as you can see, we had quite a few kids already in today, and
that's awesome. Well, chat, that's all I have to ask him. If you guys have any questions before you leave, you're welcome to ask any questions. I know Mike usually comes in here and he always got good questions to ask. So before I let Mike go, Do anybody in the chat have any questions? Because a lot of guys go back and watch this. Like they go back and watch these interviews, so they do. So if
I
there,
see all the people hating on urethane on the comments now. I just found the comment section. I'm seeing all that.
they do. We get a lot of urethane hate, man. A bunch of urethane hate. I don't know why, but I it affects me on a house shot. It does. It affects me on a house shot, but
Like I
again,
said, I throw a lot of it, and I refuse to throw it on house. So if you want to hate on it on house shots, I'm gonna hate on it with you. I'll be the first one to join you. But if you get me on sport, I'll tell you what. I don't care if it's 36 feet or 49 feet. If I gotta look with it, I'm gonna find a way to beat you with it.
oh yeah, most definitely. I totally agree. I totally agree. We got a guy around here that's really good with it on house though. He's really good with it on house, like really good. So he has like no choice but to throw it. But he's good with it on house though. I have to. And he throws a blue hammer, and that's all he throws. You don't have very many bowling balls, and he just does it. He just throws that
You
blue
see the older guys throwing it more than the younger guys on house.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. So he answered that question, he said, "Are you bowling any leagues this year?" He's not bowling any leagues this year. He took the years off.
Yep,
And
I sub though. I'm trying to be a super sub this year.
yeah, he's just subbing a lot. So, and somebody said those lanes are crazy looking. I seen them on the track start a video.
Oh yes, track strata.
That's what he said, Strata. Oh yeah, he said starter, but it is Strata. Yeah,
I did a ball video. I think like 3 weeks ago, and it was up on YouTube. That's probably where I saw it.
Oh, that's cool. That's cool. I didn't even know that. I'm about to go check that out.
I do it in there.
Oh, do you? Okay, I'm about to go check that out. Like I said, I'm always into trying to find me the right bowling ball to fit my game. So I'm gonna have to go.
The track strata is very, very good. So if you're looking for a big ASIM that's going to be a little slower, rolly.
Yeah.
I didn't throw a lot of ASIM balls. That's the one ball, like I said, I don't want to put down. Everybody's throwing it right now as far as our staffers go. Okay. I saw quite a few of them this weekend out in, like I said, in Wisconsin. It's definitely a must-have.
Okay, that's cool. That's cool. Well, it seems like we don't have too many questions in the chat. I'll let you go, Mike. I appreciate you for giving up some of your time to come in and just chat with me. It was awesome time. I guess we do have a question. Somebody said, "Do you have a favorite cover stock?"
Favorite cover stock? No. I like a lot of like I said, I throw a lot of it. So generally the ball I throw most. Like I said, they're going to be in that RG range is going to be like 247, 248. And the differential is going to be anywhere from like 049 to 054. Anything in those ranges, I usually find the most success with. I've thrown all kinds of different ones in that range from, like I said, deviate, track, hammer. That just real match up really well, being left-handed and stuff that starts up sooner. That's where that comes into play. But I'm not too big on, like, obviously there's certain cover stocks that are like company known and they use them on a bunch of different balls. But I'm not too picky when it comes to those. I just want something that's going to strike.
Yeah, that's how I am too. I'm actually, like I said, I've been throwing all radical stuff because I know how it rolls full roller, and so I just haven't. I don't want to do the. I don't want to look into it too much. So I just been buying what I know works. So yeah. But again, I thank you so much for coming up.
Hey, no problem. Thank you for having me on too. I really appreciate it. Good time.
Not a problem. Thanks, Mike, for coming. So with that being said, guys, I'll let you go. You have a great day. But we are going to probably have a Saturday, if you're not busy, around 5:30. We're going to have a full panel talk. There's going to be about 10 guys on here, and we're just going to be talking. And I'll see the information about that.
All right. Sounds good. You
All
enjoy
right,
the rest of your day and
you too.
take care.
You too, Mike. All right, guys, that was awesome. That was a great, great time, y'all. I really, really enjoyed myself today. That was the third time I've done an interview, y'all, and it was amazing. For all you guys out there on Facebook, I appreciate you guys for coming in. All you guys out here on everybody on YouTube who's come in and supported me, I appreciate each and every one of you for coming in as well. Hopefully, I'll be able to get my next person I interview out there really, really soon. Hopefully, next week around either Wednesday or Thursday, it'll be today. But this was fun as always. I love talking. I love talking bowling. That's why I call it Let's Talk Bowling. That's the segment that I call it. But I appreciate y'all. I'm gonna let each and every one of you go. Every one of you guys have a blessed day, and thank you all for coming again. And this here is the third segment of Let's Talk Bowling. You guys have a blessed day. Bye, everybody.